Welcome back to Artist to Artist. Today I'm going to sit down and talk to Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi,
Thanks for sitting down with me.
no problem.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So, how do we know each other?
You and my parents know each other.
Yeah, and I've kind of known you since you were born, so it's kind of neat. Could you describe yourself?
I'm a very creative person, but I'm pretty introverted. So with art and stuff, I don't really like going out there and you know. So I think that's kind of why I like puppetry because you get to kind of be behind a character, but it's not like acting.
Is it different than things like drawing and painting, where you kind of finish that two-dimensional thing and it's done? Whereas with what you're making, there's more even after you're done the object.
Yeah, I definitely think there's more there's another step ahead of it because with drawing and things you draw your picture, you make your sculpture, and then you're done. You might add color, but you're done. But with puppetry you have to kind of create a character, like create what the character is supposed to act like. If you're doing like the puppeteering, like that's what they use to control the puppets, you can put on shows, you can make videos or whatever with them, and you can keep going with them. So they actually have, in my opinion, kind of a use for it.
If you split up the process of making the puppet and then the performative aspect of it, do you enjoy one more than the other?
I like making the puppets a lot more than performing with them. I definitely do enjoy performing with them,
Yeah,
but I definitely like making the puppets more because I also have more artistic freedom.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What would you say art is?
I think art can be a lot of things. I don't think it should be like categorized into certain things. I think it's a like an expressive way to show like yourself. I think that, literature is art, music is art, drawing and like mediums like this are art. So I think it's just anyone being creative.
What beautiful thing have you seen recently?
At least where I am, spring has just come and there's flowers and a bunch of animals everywhere. So I was in a car and we were driving down like a road into like a park and there was a bunch of deer and I thought that was pretty cool.
What would you say creativity is?
There's a difference between creativity and creative problem solving, if you know what I mean. So,
Mhm.
like, I think that creative problem solving is definitely creative. Like, a lot of people say it's creativity. I don't think that's what creativity is. I think creativity is like being able to understand how you are feeling emotionally and being able to express that.
Wow, I've never heard that description, but I really like that. Do you find that there are certain times where it's like maybe not therapeutic, but it's just helpful to express those emotions?
For sure. Um, I I always feel like I work harder and better when I'm really mad.
Hmm.
But like I think that it definitely affects your ability to do things, and I think expressing your emotions through art is really like comforting.
Is there anything that scares you artistically?
Hands, I do like I know drawing hands is hard, but when you make hands for puppets, I just do not want to do it because going in between every finger and
Hmm.
then they break and stuff, it just scares me that I'm gonna mess it up and run out of fabric and then I'm done.
Yeah, as someone who's had that challenge of like figuring out drawing hands, I can fully understand how it's so much tougher sewing
Sure.
because, like with drawing, if you mess up that section, you could just go back and erase it. But I'm sure it's a lot tougher to go in reverse with that. What would you say the hardest thing about making art is?
I think it's probably getting over that, like, some days, you know how you just feel like I don't want to create anything today. I don't have any ideas. I think that's the hardest part about art.
So you've probably heard people talk about creative blocks and things. Do you have any like ways that you get past those?
Usually I'll have like a creative block and then just go into like hyperfixation mode and work on
Hmm.
something for like 2 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest advice is like just start brainstorming ideas and then you'll want to do something for sure.
When did you realize you were creative?
I've always been pretty creative from a pretty young age, but I remember I was wondering how like the Muppets were made, and then I just wanted to make puppets all the time, and I think that's the first time I really used my creativity.
Is it interesting to look back at some of the early things you made and see like how far you've come in that time?
Yeah, so I don't know if I have them with me here. This is one of my earlier puppets. I took the fabric and rolled it up.
Huh.
Instead of making actual hands, it's just hands cut out,
Oh yeah.
hot glued together. Looking back, like it's still a pretty good puppet. Like
What inspires you?
a lot of things inspire me. I would think it would be mostly like the world around me. There's so much happening, especially in our world right now. But if you just like stop and look at like nature and everything, nature really inspires me to do things.
Do you think people need to make art to truly understand art?
Definitely, to truly understand art, you need to make it, definitely.
I think people get hung up because they feel like their art has to be great in order to even do it. But whatever you do, just the act of creating, that's the real benefit from it.
Yeah, for sure.
How can people become better artists?
I think that when you reach that point where you're just starting to just care only about money or only about fame with your art, I think that's what makes a bad artist. So I think you should just do it just because you like it.
Do you find challenges personally from like making what you want and kind of not worrying about what other people think?
I've never really had a problem with it. The only times I really brought my puppets to public was probably in elementary school and at a summer camp I went to. Like I would show them to like the little kids there and they didn't think it was weird. But like some people say it's kind of creepy because some of it is. Like this head isn't just like that. There's foam
Mm-hmm.
inside to keep it up,
Mm-hmm.
and we call that foam skull or like puppet skull. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just be talking to someone about it and then I'll tell them that and they're like, "Oh, like
they're
yeah,
not ready to hear that term.
yeah."
Yeah, makes sense. Why do you make art?
I've grown up in an age where everything is just online, like you don't need creativity. I wouldn't be myself without art because I need to express my creativity.
Would you describe yourself as a tactile person? Like, do you like textures and touching things when you're making art?
So I like touching things when I make art. I think it's very interesting, especially with texture, to work with puppets because it makes them look, fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think there are some materials that I really don't like. Like I recently made a robot head out of a giant styrofoam cooler box,
Mm-hmm.
and I hated that.
Yeah,
I hated the cutting out the eyes because I cannot stand styrofoam.
I could,
So
yeah, I could see that. It's a pretty annoying thing. It gets stuck to you and flies all over. What's your favorite color?
green for sure. I just really like green.
How can people see more of your art?
I haven't been doing this lately. I had a YouTube channel a few years back, like a while back. I definitely want to start that back up again or make another YouTube channel to be able to do stuff with my puppets. I was also on PBS 39.
Mm-hmm.
Another way you can see more of my art.
If you're okay with it, we'll put some links in the description so people can see those.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite way to experience art?
I really do like movies and
Hmm.
short films. Paintings and things like that are very cool, and I think that there's a lot of amazing paintings and drawings out there, but I've always really liked like claymation, and you can create a story visually, and I think that's really cool.
Do you think about making like movies like that with your puppets in the future?
I definitely want to go into filmmaking. However, it's not a very like, oh yes, I'm going to make films. Like you can't really just say that's going to be your profession. So I do have a backup career as a music teacher in my head. I definitely really want to go into making films.
You want to express in the ways that make sense to you.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't make sense, you don't have to justify it. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
make what you want to make. So that's awesome. So what does all great art have in common?
All great art has the drive behind people making it or a person making it to make it good. Because if you just make something and you just don't really care, you're just like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Like it won't turn out well because you just wanted to get it over with. I think having that drive to make something good and do it like right is what makes good art, like separates great art from okay art.
Do you ever find it difficult to know when a piece or something that you're making is done?
Sometimes I'll just be like, I have to add more, and then I'll just be like, I ruined it. But sometimes I know when to stop. I think the best way to know when to stop is just look at it, say, if you saw this as a piece of art in the real world, would you think that's reasonable? If the answer is yes, then stop. If the answer is no, then keep going. Like Sally's snow cone, the one I have here, I added a lot to her.
Mm-hmm.
She was definitely one where I kind of took a while to stop working on her,
Mm-hmm.
but like stopping on this one with the hair was pretty hard. I think the best way that I stopped with this one was I looked at it and I said, all right, I just want to cover this up. It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to add more. So, yeah.
And actually, I don't think I asked you, how long do each of the puppets usually take to make?
It really depends. Like, this guy took me like a few hours.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some take me a few like days to work on. So they definitely take a while, but
Mm-hmm.
it's worth it.
And especially like you said, it's not like you make them and they're done. You're going to
Mhm.
reuse them and use them theoretically for years. So that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite artists?
I like a lot of music. I like Green Day and the Gorillaz and Blink 182. I also really like Tim Burton, I said before.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Henson did a lot with puppets. That's kind of, he created the Muppets. So I do like the original Sesame Street. It just felt very human. So I definitely really like Jim Henson.
It felt like not just a TV show, but like someone who cared and like wanted to
Yeah.
share stuff. So it felt a lot more real. What do you wish people would do more?
This is gonna sound like really naggy, but I wish people would take care of our environment more because we have one Earth, and I feel like even though we can all move to Mars and live in little space pods or whatever, like, do you really want to? No. You can't, like, nature really inspires me, and I know a lot of other people that nature inspires, and there's a lot of things that we're doing that's just killing it, and I feel like we should take care of the environment more for sure.
I think that makes a lot of sense. How do you feel when you make art?
It takes me a while to get started, but once I start, you have to like pry me away because I don't know, like a lot of times it takes me a while to stop working, but I feel really happy and peaceful and kind of at like an ease when I make art.
Have you heard of the flow state?
No.
So I think you're probably in that flow state. It's like when you sit down, for example, for me, if I start drawing and then I lose track of time, I'm just like in that drawing that I'm doing. And then I like look up and it's like 3 hours later or something. It's just like
No.
you're hyper focused on something and just enjoying it. You've probably been there. Can you describe how that feels to be in?
You're focused on stuff, but you don't realize time. You just care about what you're doing. And I feel like that's very simple and peaceful. I feel like it's almost like, have you ever seen like musicians when they go like crazy and they kind of like
Mm-hmm.
float away? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the same with art.
What are your plans with art in the future?
So I definitely, again, I do want to make films, but if I don't, I think I'll just create a YouTube channel and show how to make puppets and puppet things and so on. I definitely want to do something with puppets in my future. I don't think it's going to be my career because unfortunately, a lot of things like puppetry is like kind of dying.
Who should decide what art is?
I think the artist should decide, was I creative with this or did I just ask ChatGPT what to do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the artist and other artists should decide what art is.
Do you want to say anything directly to the people watching this?
Sure, if they are artists, then they shouldn't stop making art or just like quit because it's definitely, I think it will become a very useful skill to have in the next few years for sure.
Awesome. You did a great job. Anything else you want to add?
No,
Cool. Well, thanks to Claire for sitting down and talking. We'll be back with another interview with another great artist. Thanks. Thanks, Claire.
no problem. Bye.
Bye.